Tonight on The Sleepy Scientist, we're drifting gently through the vast cosmic ocean, where silence reigns supreme and the absence of sound becomes a profound teacher. In the quiet space of our exploration tonight, we'll discover why the universe maintains its eternal hush, and what this cosmic silence means for us here on our small, sound-filled world. Gently, we discover that silence is not merely the absence of noise, but a fundamental characteristic of the cosmos itself. Like whispers in the night, the implications of this universal quiet reach into every aspect of our existence, from the physics that govern reality to the deepest philosophical questions about our place in the infinite expanse. As we begin our peaceful journey through the soundless void, imagine yourself floating weightlessly among the stars, where no wind can carry a voice, no atmosphere can transmit a cry, and no medium exists to propagate the waves we call sound. Here, in this perfect stillness, we find not emptiness, but a different kind of fullness, a pregnant quiet that speaks to us in ways more profound than any audible message. The silence of space is not cold or frightening, but rather like a gentle embrace, wrapping the entire universe in a blanket of perfect peace. In this cosmic quiet, galaxies spin their ancient dance, stars are born and die, and planets orbit their suns in a choreography so graceful that it needs no accompanying music. The visual symphony of light and motion is complete in itself. Tonight, we'll explore this silence not as scientists seeking to conquer or explain away mystery, but as gentle observers, allowing the quiet to wash over us like a soothing tide. We'll discover that in understanding why space is silent, we come to appreciate not only the remarkable nature of our own sound-filled world, but also the profound peace that exists beyond our atmospheric boundaries. In the quiet space of our cosmic meditation, we'll learn that silence is not the enemy of communication, but perhaps its most eloquent form. The universe speaks to us constantly, not through sound waves that our ears might detect, but through light waves that tell stories of distant worlds. Gravitational waves that whisper of cosmic collisions, and a gentle background radiation that carries echoes of the universe's first moments. As our journey continues into this exploration of cosmic quiet, we'll find that the silence of space offers us something precious, a perspective on peace itself. In a world often filled with noise, chaos, and constant stimulation, the eternal quiet of the cosmos reminds us that tranquility is not only possible but is, in fact, the natural state of the vast majority of existence. Gently, we discover that our Earth, with all its sounds and fury, is like a small island of acoustic activity in an ocean of perfect stillness. The sounds we make, our voices, our music, our machinery, travel only as far as our atmosphere extends, and beyond that invisible boundary, all returns to the profound quiet that characterizes the rest of reality. This is not a lonely quiet, but a connected one. In the quiet space of cosmic silence, all things exist in relation to one another through forces that need no sound to operate. Gravity pulls without making noise, electromagnetic fields interact without creating vibration, and the fundamental forces that hold atoms together work in perfect, soundless harmony like whispers in the night. The implications of this cosmic silence reach into our daily lives. When we understand that the universe operates primarily in quiet, we begin to appreciate the rare and precious nature of the sounds that surround us on Earth. Every bird's song, every human voice, every musical note becomes more precious when we realize it exists in a tiny bubble of acoustic possibility surrounded by infinite quiet. As our journey continues deeper into understanding cosmic quiet, let's drift into the fundamental nature of silence itself. To understand why space is silent, we must first gently explore what sound actually is, and why the conditions necessary for its existence are so rare and precious in the cosmic context. In the quiet space of our scientific understanding, sound reveals itself to be something quite different from what our everyday experience might suggest. Sound is not a thing that travels through space, but rather a wave, a rhythmic compression, and rarefaction of matter that moves through a medium like a gentle pulse. Through the fabric of existence, gently, we discover that every sound we've ever heard has been the result of molecules dancing together in a coordinated wave. When a bird sings in a tree outside your window, The bird's vocal cords create vibrations that push against air molecules. These molecules, in turn, push against their neighbors, creating a chain reaction that travels outward like ripples on the surface of a still pond. Like whispers in the night, these molecular movements carry the pattern of the original vibration from the source to your ear, where specialized structures detect the wave and transform it back into the electrical signals your brain interprets as sound. It's a beautiful, delicate process that requires something absolutely essential: a medium through which the waves can travel. In the quiet space of Earth's atmosphere, we are surrounded by approximately 1,019 molecules in every cubic centimeter of air at sea level. These molecules, primarily nitrogen and oxygen, are packed closely enough together that when one moves, it inevitably bumps into its neighbors, allowing sound waves to propagate through the atmospheric medium like gentle currents through a fluid. But as our journey continues beyond our planet's protective atmospheric embrace, this molecular density drops dramatically. At the altitude where the International Space Station orbits, roughly 400 kilometers above Earth's surface, the atmospheric density has decreased to about 1/10,000,000th of what it is at sea level. Here, in this transition zone between Earth and space, sound becomes increasingly difficult to transmit. Let's drift into an understanding of what happens in this rarefied environment. With so few molecules present, the chances of a vibration being passed from one molecule to another become increasingly slim. It is like trying to create ripples on a pond that has almost no water. The medium simply isn't dense enough to support the wave. Now we float toward true space, where the molecular density drops to fewer than one molecule per cubic centimeter. In the interplanetary medium, here, in the vast reaches between worlds, the concept of sound as we understand it simply cannot exist. There are too few particles, separated by distances too vast, for the coordinated molecular dance that creates sound waves to occur. Gently, we discover that this absence of sound-conducting medium is not a flaw or limitation of space, but rather its natural state. The silence of space is not the result of something being taken away, but rather the baseline condition of the universe. Sound, as it turns out, is the exception rather than the rule in cosmic terms. In the quiet space of our contemplation, we can appreciate that the silence of space is a perfect silence, not the mere absence of sounds that might exist, but the physical impossibility of sound itself. It is a silence so complete that even if the most powerful explosion occurred just meters away from you in space, you would perceive nothing audible at all. Like whispers in the night, this realization carries profound implications for how we understand our place in the cosmos. We live in an extraordinarily rare pocket of the universe, where the conditions necessary for sound exist. Our entire acoustic experience, every word ever spoken, every song ever sung, every natural sound that has ever graced our ears, exists within the gossamer-thin shell of atmosphere that surrounds our planet. As our journey continues through this understanding, we begin to appreciate that Earth's atmosphere is not just what allows us to breathe, but also what allows us to hear. The same molecules that sustain our life also enable the rich tapestry of sounds that make our world so vibrant and alive. Without this atmospheric medium, our planet would be as silent as the rest of the cosmos. But in the quiet space of cosmic silence, we find something unexpectedly beautiful. This is not the oppressive quiet of a soundproof room, but rather a natural, organic silence that has existed since the early moments of the universe. It's the silence in which galaxies form, in which stars are born, and in which the grand cosmic ballet of celestial mechanics unfolds. Gently, we discover that this cosmic silence is not empty, but full of other forms of communication and interaction that don't require sound. Gravitational waves ripple through space-time itself, carrying information about cosmic events across billions of light years. Electromagnetic radiation, light, radio waves, X-rays, gamma rays, fills the cosmos with information and energy, creating a rich tapestry of communication that operates entirely without sound. In space, information travels not through the compression and rarefaction of molecules, but through the oscillation of electromagnetic fields. When we look at a distant star, we are receiving information that has traveled through the vacuum of space for years, decades. or centuries, arriving at our eyes without need for any acoustic medium. Let's drift into contemplation of what this means for the nature of silence itself. On Earth, we often think of silence as the absence of sound, but cosmic silence reveals itself to be something more fundamental. It's the natural state of existence interrupted only in those rare locations where matter is dense enough to support acoustic waves. Like whispers in the night, this understanding changes how we perceive quiet moments in our daily lives. When we sit in what we call silence, we're actually surrounded by countless sounds. The settling of buildings, the movement of air, the distant hum of civilization, the beating of our own hearts. True silence, the kind that exists in space, is something most humans will never experience directly. Now we float toward a deeper appreciation of this cosmic quiet. In the vacuum of space, even the most violent events unfold in perfect silence. Supernovas, the explosive deaths of massive stars that can outshine entire galaxies, occur without making any sound at all. The collision of black holes, events so energetic they create ripples in space-time itself, happen in complete acoustic silence. In the quiet space of our imagination, we can picture these cosmic events not as loud, dramatic explosions, but as graceful, silent transformations. Like watching fireworks through a window, seeing all the beauty and drama while experiencing none of the noise. This perspective transforms our understanding of cosmic violence, revealing it to be more like a dance than a battle. Gently, we discover that this silence has shaped the evolution of life in the universe. Any life that exists beyond Earth has evolved in environments where acoustic communication is either impossible or severely limited. This means that if we ever encounter life from other worlds, it will likely have developed entirely different methods of communication, perhaps through electromagnetic signals, chemical markers, or even quantum entanglement. The silence of space also means that the universe has no acoustic memory. On Earth, sounds can echo off mountains and buildings, creating acoustic histories that linger for moments after their creation. But in space, every electromagnetic signal, once emitted, travels outward forever, carrying its information across the cosmos without degradation, creating a permanent record of cosmic events. As our journey continues through this understanding of cosmic silence, we begin to see it not as an absence, but as a presence, the presence of peace, of stillness, of a kind of cosmic meditation that has been ongoing for nearly 14 billion years. In this silence, we find not loneliness but solitude, not emptiness but spaciousness, not the end of communication but the beginning of new forms of connection that transcend the need for sound. Let us drift into an exploration of our planet's remarkable atmospheric envelope, the thin shell of gas that not only sustains our life, but also creates the acoustic world we inhabit. In the quiet space of our understanding, we'll discover how this precious layer serves as both our life support system and our sound transmission medium. Gently, we discover that Earth's atmosphere is extraordinarily thin when viewed from a cosmic perspective. If our planet were the size of an apple, the atmosphere would be thinner than the apple's skin. Yet within this gossamer shell, all of human history has unfolded, and every sound ever heard by any earthly creature has resonated. Like whispers in the night, the molecules in our atmosphere dance in constant motion, colliding billions of times per second in a choreographed chaos that enables the phenomenon we call sound. At sea level, there are roughly 25 quintillion molecules in every cubic centimeter of air, a number so vast it is difficult to comprehend. Yet this density is what makes possible every conversation, every musical performance, every natural sound that enriches our lives. As our journey continues upward through the layers of our atmosphere, we encounter a gradual transition from the sound-rich environment of Earth's surface to the acoustic void of space. This transition is not sudden but gentle, like walking from a crowded room into an increasingly quiet corridor, until finally reaching perfect silence. In the quiet space of the troposphere, where weather occurs and commercial aircraft fly, sound can still travel effectively, though it becomes increasingly difficult to transmit as altitude increases. At the cruising altitude of commercial jets, around 10 kilometers above sea level, the air is already too thin for humans to breathe without assistance. Yet it's still dense enough to carry sound waves, though with decreasing efficiency. Now we float toward the stratosphere, home to the ozone layer that protects us from harmful ultraviolet radiation. Here, at altitudes between 10 and 50 kilometers, the air becomes dramatically thinner. A sound that would be clearly audible at sea level might barely be detectable at these heights, not because it's necessarily quieter, but because there are fewer molecules available to carry the acoustic wave. Gently, we discover that even in these rarefied regions, our atmosphere continues to perform its dual role as life protector and sound carrier. The ozone molecules that shield us from dangerous radiation are the same molecules that could, in theory, carry the faint vibrations of sound waves, though at densities so low that most sounds would be lost in the increasing quiet. Let's drift into the mesosphere, extending from about 50 to 85 kilometers altitude, where the atmosphere becomes so thin that meteors burn up from friction, not because the air is particularly dense, but because the meteors are traveling so incredibly fast that even the sparse molecules present create enough resistance to generate tremendous heat. Interestingly, these meteoric light shows occur in nearly perfect silence, as the atmosphere at these altitudes is too thin to carry sound effectively to the ground below. Like whispers in the night, the transition continues through the thermosphere, where the International Space Station orbits at approximately 400 kilometers altitude. Here, the atmospheric density has dropped to about 1/10,000,000th of sea level density, while there are still molecules present enough to create drag. That gradually slows the space station and requires periodic boosts to maintain orbit. There are far too few to support sound transmission as we understand it. In the quiet space of this orbital realm, astronauts experience something that no human in history experienced until the space age: the direct transition between a world of sound and a world of silence. Inside their spacecraft or spacesuits, they can hear normally because these environments maintain artificial atmospheres dense enough to carry sound. But outside these protective barriers lies the profound quiet of space. As our journey continues through this atmospheric transition, we begin to appreciate the remarkable precision required for our acoustic world to exist. The density of molecules must be just right, not so sparse that sound waves cannot propagate, but not so dense that the pressure would crush living things. Earth's atmosphere achieves this balance perfectly, creating conditions where both life and sound can flourish. Now we float toward understanding what astronauts actually experience during spacewalks. When they work outside their spacecraft, they exist into acoustic worlds simultaneously. Inside their space suits, they can hear their own breathing, their heartbeat, the sound of equipment, and communications, all carried by the artificial atmosphere contained within their suits. But any sounds they might make outside their suits, the impact of tools on spacecraft surfaces, the movement of mechanical systems, reach them only through vibrations transmitted through solid materials, not through the medium of air. Gently, we discover that this creates a unique sensory experience unlike anything available on Earth. Astronauts report that the visual beauty of Earth from space is accompanied by an almost supernatural quiet. They can see storms raging across continents, observe lightning flickering in cloud formations, and watch the aurora dance in the upper atmosphere. But all of these dramatic events unfold in perfect silence. In the quiet space of their observations, astronauts often describe a profound shift in perspective that comes not just from seeing Earth from space, but from experiencing it in silence. The planet appears more serene, more peaceful, when viewed without the acoustic accompaniment of wind, weather, and human activity. This silent perspective reveals Earth as it truly is, an oasis of life floating in the cosmic quiet. Like whispers in the night, the stories of astronauts often emphasize this transition between sound and silence as one of the most profound aspects of space travel. They describe returning to Earth's atmosphere during re-entry not just as a return to gravity and breathable air, but as a return to the world of sound. The first acoustic indication of their return is often the whistle of wind over their spacecraft, as it encounters the outer reaches of the atmosphere. As our journey continues through understanding this atmospheric boundary, we realize that our planet's atmosphere serves as more than just a physical barrier between life and the vacuum of space. It is also an acoustic barrier between our sound-filled world and the silent cosmos. Every time we hear a sound, we're experiencing something that's only possible within this thin shell of gas that surrounds our planet. The precious nature of this acoustic environment becomes even more apparent when we consider how easily it could be lost. Mars, which likely once had a thicker atmosphere, now has an atmospheric density of less than 1% of Earth's. Any sounds on Mars would be extremely faint and limited to very low frequencies. Venus, despite having an atmosphere much denser than Earth's, has surface conditions so extreme that no earthly life could survive to experience whatever sounds might exist there. Let's drift into contemplation of how this atmospheric acoustic medium shapes not just our ability to hear, but our evolution as a species. The development of language, music, and all forms of acoustic communication has been possible only because we evolved within this narrow zone where sound can exist. Our brains, our vocal cords, our ears, all of these have been shaped by the acoustic possibilities that exist within Earth's atmospheric embrace. Now we float toward appreciation of the dynamic nature of our atmospheric boundary. This border between sound and silence is not static but constantly shifting. During solar storms, the upper atmosphere can expand, bringing the edge of detectable atmospheric density higher. During quiet solar periods, this boundary contracts. The aurora, those beautiful lights that dance in the polar skies, mark regions where space and atmosphere interact, where the cosmic silence meets Earth's acoustic realm. Gently, we discover that this atmospheric boundary also represents a temporal transition. The sounds we make on Earth exist for only brief moments before dissipating into heat energy within our atmosphere. But electromagnetic signals, radio waves, light, can escape through our atmosphere and travel into the cosmic silence, potentially carrying information about our civilization across interstellar distances. In this way, our atmosphere serves as both a container for our acoustic world and a window through which other forms of communication can reach the silent cosmos. In the quiet space of our reflection, we can appreciate that living within Earth's atmospheric bubble means living in a rare and precious acoustic sanctuary. We are inhabitants of a cosmic rarity, a place where sound is possible, where voices can carry meaning, where music can stir emotions, and where the natural world speaks to us through countless acoustic signals. Beyond our atmospheric boundary lies the eternal silence of space, patient and peaceful, surrounding our small island of sound with infinite quiet. As our journey continues into the vast reaches beyond our atmospheric sanctuary, let's drift into the profound expanse where silence reigns supreme. In the quiet space of interplanetary and interstellar regions, we discover that the absence of sound does not mean the absence of communication. The universe speaks to us through other languages, other waves, other whispers that traverse the cosmic void. Gently, we discover that the space between worlds is not truly empty, but rather filled with a tenuous medium known as the interplanetary medium. In our solar system, this consists primarily of charged particles streaming from the sun. The solar wind, along with cosmic rays, dust grains, and the occasional comet or asteroid. Yet even this relatively dense region of space contains only about 5 particles per cubic centimeter, far too sparse to carry sound waves as we understand them. Like whispers in the night, these few particles do interact with one another and with the magnetic fields that permeate space. But their interactions are governed by electromagnetic forces, rather than the acoustic forces that create sound. When solar wind particles encounter Earth's magnetosphere, they create beautiful aurora displays. But these interactions occur in perfect acoustic silence. Their drama played out through light and electromagnetic energy rather than sound. Now we float toward the interstellar medium, the space between star systems, where matter becomes even more sparse. Here, in the vast distances between stars, we find on average about 1 atom per cubic centimeter, a density so low that it approaches the theoretical limit of emptiness. Yet even in this near-perfect vacuum, the universe maintains its subtle forms of communication. In the quiet space of interstellar regions, we encounter phenomena that challenge our earthbound understanding of how information travels. Shock waves from stellar explosions do propagate through the interstellar medium, but they do so incredibly slowly, and at such low frequencies that they bear no resemblance to the sound waves we know. These cosmic shock waves might take thousands of years to travel distances that light covers in mere years, and they carry energy in ways that acoustic waves never could. As our journey continues deeper into cosmic space, we discover that the universe has evolved its own forms of communication that thrive in the silence. Radio astronomy has revealed that space is filled with electromagnetic radiation across the entire spectrum, from low-frequency radio waves to high-energy gamma rays. These signals carry vast amounts of information across cosmic distances, unimpeded by the vacuum that prevents acoustic communication. Let's drift into understanding how these electromagnetic waves differ from sound waves. While sound requires a medium of matter through which to propagate, electromagnetic waves are disturbances in electric and magnetic fields themselves. They can travel through perfect vacuum because they don't need molecules to carry them. They are, in essence, traveling disturbances in the fabric of space-time itself. Gently, we discover that these electromagnetic signals reveal a universe far from quiet in the broader sense. Pulsars, rapidly rotating neutron stars, send out lighthouse beams of radio energy that sweep across space with clockwork precision. Distant galaxies emit radiation across the entire electromagnetic spectrum. Even the cosmic microwave background radiation, the afterglow of the Big Bang itself, fills all of space with a faint but detectable signal. Like whispers in the night, these cosmic signals tell stories of events both ancient and ongoing. The light from distant stars carries information about their composition, temperature, and motion. Radio waves from the center of our galaxy reveal the presence of a supermassive black hole. X-rays from colliding neutron stars announce the creation of heavy elements that will someday become part of new worlds and perhaps new forms of life. In the quiet space of our contemplation, we realize that the acoustic silence of space has been fundamental to our ability to receive these electromagnetic messages. If space were filled with a dense medium capable of carrying sound, that same medium would likely absorb and scatter electromagnetic radiation, making it much more difficult for us to observe the cosmos. The silence of space is not a barrier to cosmic communication, but rather the very condition that makes such communication possible across vast distances. Now we float toward understanding the cosmic microwave background radiation, perhaps the most significant sound that space has to offer, though it's not acoustic sound at all. This radiation is the cooled remnant of the thermal energy from the Big Bang, stretched by the expansion of the universe from high-energy gamma rays to low-energy microwaves. It fills all of space uniformly and represents the closest thing to a cosmic voice that we can detect. As our journey continues through this ocean of electromagnetic stillness, we encounter gravitational waves, ripples in space-time itself created by the acceleration of massive objects. These waves, predicted by Einstein and first detected in 2015, represent yet another form of cosmic communication that operates in the acoustic silence of space. When two black holes spiral into each other and merge, they create gravitational waves that propagate outward at the speed of light, carrying information about these cosmic collisions across billions of light years. Gently, we discover that these gravitational waves represent something profoundly different from both sound waves and electromagnetic waves. They are literally waves in the geometry of space and time itself. As they pass through the Earth, they stretch and compress space by amounts smaller than 1/10th, zeroth the width of a proton, yet our instruments can detect these minute changes. In a poetic sense, these waves allow us to hear the universe through space-time itself rather than through our ears. Let us drift into contemplation of what this cosmic silence means for the possibility of life. Elsewhere in the universe, any life that has evolved beyond the protective acoustic bubble of a planetary atmosphere has necessarily developed in silence. This suggests that extraterrestrial intelligence, if it exists, has likely evolved forms of communication and perception that rely on electromagnetic signals, chemical markers, or other non-acoustic means, like whispers in the night. This realization suggests that the search for extraterrestrial intelligence SETI is proceeding along the right path by looking for electromagnetic signals rather than acoustic ones. Any technological civilization capable of interstellar communication would necessarily use electromagnetic waves. as these are the only signals capable of traversing the acoustic void between worlds. In the quiet space of interstellar regions, we also find that the absence of sound creates conditions perfect for the formation of the largest structures in the universe. Galaxy clusters, held together by gravity and dark matter, span millions of light years and contain thousands of individual galaxies. These massive structures form and evolve in perfect silence, their component galaxies interacting gravitationally over billions of years, without creating any acoustic disturbance. Now we float toward the edges of the observable universe, where the cosmic microwave background becomes our most distant source of information. This ancient light has been traveling toward us for nearly 13.8 billion years, carrying information about the state of the universe when it was only 380,000 years old. It reaches us through the silence of space, undisturbed by any acoustic interference, preserving the whispers of creation itself. As our journey continues through this cosmic ocean of stillness, we begin to appreciate that the silence of space is not a barrier to understanding the universe, but rather a condition that enables such understanding. The electromagnetic transparency of vacuum allows us to observe events occurring billions of light years away and billions of years in the past. We can study the formation of galaxies, the evolution of stars, and the distribution of matter throughout the cosmos precisely because space is silent and transparent to electromagnetic radiation. Gently, we discover that this cosmic silence also provides a unique perspective on time itself. On Earth, sounds exist for brief moments before dissipating into heat energy. But in space, electromagnetic signals can travel for billions of years without significant loss of information. The light from distant galaxies carries messages that began their journey when the universe was young, allowing us to observe cosmic history unfolding across time. In the quiet space of our cosmic meditation, we find that the silence of space offers a profound lesson about the nature of existence itself. In a universe where most of reality exists in acoustic silence, our Earth's brief and rare sounds become even more precious. Every human voice, every bird song, every musical composition exists as a tiny miracle of organization and meaning in a cosmos otherwise characterized by electromagnetic whispers and gravitational murmurs. The ocean of cosmic stillness surrounds us completely, extending in all directions as far as we can observe. Yet rather than feeling isolated by this silence, we can feel connected to it, participants in the great cosmic meditation that has been ongoing since the universe began. In this silence, galaxies dance their slow gravitational ballet, stars sing their electromagnetic songs, and the fundamental forces of nature operate in perfect, soundless harmony. Let us drift into contemplation of how life might exist and thrive in the acoustic silence that characterizes most of the universe. In the quiet space of our exploration, we'll discover that the absence of sound does not preclude the possibility of rich, complex existence. Rather, it opens doorways to entirely different forms of being and communication. Gently, we discover that life as we know it has evolved entirely within Earth's acoustic environment, shaped by the ability to produce and perceive sound waves. From the echolocation of bats and dolphins to the complex vocalizations of birds and whales, acoustic communication has played a crucial role in the evolution of intelligence and social behavior on our planet. Yet this represents only one possible path for the development of life and consciousness. Like whispers in the night, the possibility of life existing in the silent depths of space challenges us to expand our understanding of what living systems might look like. While we have not yet discovered life beyond Earth, the principles of astrobiology suggest that life could potentially exist in many environments where sound cannot propagate, in the subsurface oceans of icy moons, in the upper atmospheres of gas giants, or even in the cold, rarefied regions of interstellar space. As our journey continues through these possibilities, we encounter Europa, one of Jupiter's largest moons, which harbors a vast ocean beneath its icy surface. This ocean, containing more water than all of Earth's oceans combined, exists in perpetual darkness and near-perfect silence. The ice shell above is estimated to be 15 to 25 kilometers thick, creating an acoustic barrier that would prevent any surface sounds from reaching the ocean below. And the ocean itself exists at pressures and temperatures that would make sound transmission vary. different from what we experience on Earth. In the quiet space of Europa's hidden ocean, life, if it exists, would have evolved without any connection to acoustic communication as we understand it. Such organisms might communicate through bioluminescence, creating patterns of light that could convey complex information in the eternal darkness. They might use chemical signals, releasing and detecting molecular messages that could travel through the water more reliably than sound waves in such an environment. Now we float toward Enceladus, Saturn's small but remarkable moon that shoots geysers of water ice and organic compounds from its south polar region. These geysers emerge from a subsurface ocean that, like Europa's, exists in silence and darkness. Any life in Enceladus's ocean would exist in a world where touch, chemical sensation, and perhaps electrical perception would replace the acoustic senses that are so important to life on Earth. Gently, we discover that these possibilities aren't merely speculative. They are based on life forms we already know exist on Earth in similar conditions. In the deepest parts of our oceans, where sunlight never penetrates and sound transmission is limited, life has evolved remarkable adaptations. Deep-sea creatures often rely on bioluminescence for communication, using patterns of light to attract mates, warn of danger, or confuse predators. Others use electrical fields to navigate and communicate in the dark depths. Let us drift into consideration of life in even more extreme environments, the upper atmospheres of gas giant planets like Jupiter and Saturn. These regions, while possessing dense atmospheres that could theoretically carry sound, exist under conditions so different from Earth that any life forms there would face challenges we can barely imagine. The acoustic environment of Jupiter's atmosphere would be unlike anything on Earth, with sounds potentially traveling vast distances through the dense gas but at frequencies and intensities that would be completely alien to terrestrial life. Like whispers in the night, the possibility of aerial life in gas giant atmospheres was first seriously considered by Carl Sagan and others in the 1970s. They envisioned organisms that might float in the atmospheres of these worlds like cosmic jellyfish, perhaps using gas-filled bladders to control their buoyancy, and chemical processes to extract energy from the atmospheric composition. Such creatures, if they exist, would inhabit a world where sound might travel for thousands of kilometers through the dense atmosphere, creating acoustic experiences beyond our imagination. In the quiet space of our consideration, we realize that life in such environments would likely develop entirely different concepts of space, distance, and communication. Where Earth life has learned to use sound waves that travel at about 343 meters per second, through air life in Jupiter's dense atmosphere might use sound waves that could travel much faster and farther, potentially creating forms of long-distance acoustic communication impossible on Earth. As our journey continues into even more speculative territory, we encounter the possibility of life in interstellar space itself. While this might seem impossible given the extreme cold and low density of the interstellar medium, some scientists have proposed that complex organic molecules could potentially organize into self-replicating systems in the vast clouds of gas and dust that exist between stars. Such interstellar life, if it could exist, would represent the ultimate adaptation to cosmic silence, with average distances between particles measured in meters rather than molecular dimensions. Any form of communication would need to operate on entirely different principles from anything we know. Perhaps such organisms would use electromagnetic radiation for communication, essentially becoming living radio transmitters and receivers. Or they might manipulate magnetic fields to interact across vast distances. Now we float toward consideration of how the absence of sound might actually benefit certain forms of life on Earth. Many organisms use the energy that would otherwise be lost to sound production for other biological processes. In the cosmic silence, all energy could potentially be directed toward growth, reproduction, and other essential life functions, possibly making silent life forms more efficient than their acoustic counterparts. Gently, we discover that some Earth organisms already demonstrate this principle. Many plants, fungi, and microorganisms thrive without producing or responding to sound, instead relying on chemical communication, light sensitivity, and physical interactions with their environment. These silent life forms often show remarkable efficiency in energy use, suggesting that acoustic communication, while valuable, is not essential for successful existence. In the quiet space of microbial life, we find examples of organisms that communicate through methods that could potentially work in space environments. Some bacteria use quorum sensing, a form of chemical communication that allows them to coordinate behavior based on population density. Others produce and respond to electrical fields or use quantum mechanical processes that operate below the threshold of acoustic communication. Let's drift into contemplation of how intelligence might evolve in silent environments. On Earth, the development of complex communication through sound has been crucial to the evolution of social intelligence in many species, but intelligence could potentially evolve through other sensory modalities and communication methods. Visual intelligence, chemical intelligence, electrical intelligence, or even quantum intelligence could provide the foundation for complex thought and social organization. Like whispers in the night, we can imagine civilizations that have developed entirely through non-acoustic means. Such civilizations might communicate through controlled manipulation of electromagnetic fields, creating complex patterns of radiation that carry information across space at the speed of light. They might use gravitational effects, literally bending space-time on small scales to create signals detectable by other members of their species. As our journey continues through these possibilities, we realize that intelligence itself might be more fundamental than the specific sensory modalities through which it operates. The ability to process information, recognize patterns, make predictions, and adapt behavior could potentially emerge in any system complex enough to support these processes, regardless of whether that system operates in an acoustic environment or in the silence of space. Now we float toward the intriguing possibility that life in silent environments might develop forms of communication and intelligence that are actually superior to acoustic-based systems. Electromagnetic communication could potentially be faster, more precise, and capable of carrying more information than sound waves. Chemical communication could be more persistent and specific. Quantum communication could enable forms of connection and information sharing that we are only beginning to understand. Gently, we discover that the silence of space might not be a limitation for life, but rather an opportunity for forms of existence we have not yet imagined. Without the constraints imposed by acoustic communication, life could potentially evolve communication systems that operate across vast distances, persist for long periods, and carry complex information with perfect fidelity. In the quiet space of our imagination, we can envision organisms that use the cosmic microwave background radiation as a medium for communication, modulating this universal signal to send messages across galactic distances. We can picture life forms that exist as distributed networks of matter and energy, connected not by sound but by gravitational effects or quantum entanglement, operating as single organisms across light years of space. The profound silence of the cosmos, rather than being hostile to life, may actually represent the natural state in which the most advanced forms of life and intelligence could develop. Free from the limitations of acoustic communication, such life could potentially achieve forms of existence and consciousness that transcend anything we can currently imagine, turning the quiet of space into a medium for the most sublime forms of cosmic intelligence. As our journey continues into the philosophical depths of cosmic quiet, let us drift into understanding what the universal silence means for our own existence and our place in the grand scheme of reality. In the quiet space of contemplation, we discover that the silence of space offers profound lessons about the nature of peace, solitude, and the deeper meanings of existence itself. Gently, we discover that the cosmic silence serves as a vast meditation hall in which the entire universe exists. Unlike the temporary quiet we might find in a secluded forest or a peaceful room, the silence of space is eternal, absolute, and all-encompassing. It has existed since the earliest moments after the Big Bang, when the universe first expanded beyond the density required for acoustic waves, and it will continue long after the last stars have burned out and the cosmos enters its final quiet phase. Like whispers in the night, This eternal silence invites us to consider what it means to exist in a universe where peace is the fundamental state of being. On Earth, we often think of silence as the absence of noise, something to be achieved or created through effort. But cosmic silence reveals that quiet is not the absence of something, but rather the presence of space itself, the basic condition that allows all other phenomena to exist and unfold. In the quiet space of our reflection, we begin to understand that living within Earth's acoustic bubble means living in a rare and temporary disturbance of the universe's natural quiet. Every sound we make, every word, every song, every cry represents a brief perturbation in the cosmic silence, a momentary ripple in the vast ocean of peace that surrounds our world. This perspective transforms our understanding of human activity and civilization. Rather than seeing ourselves as the normal state of things occasionally interrupted by quiet moments, we can recognize ourselves as inhabitants of a brief, beautiful disruption of universal stillness. Our cities, our conversations, our music, all of these exist as temporary patterns of acoustic energy in a cosmos otherwise characterized by profound quiet. As our journey continues through this understanding, we encounter the concept of cosmic solitude, not the loneliness of being separated from others, but the fundamental condition of existing in space itself. Every star, every planet, every galaxy exists in its own envelope of silence, connected to others through gravity and electromagnetic radiation, but isolated acoustically. This cosmic solitude is not a flaw in the design of the universe, but rather a feature that allows each celestial body to develop its own character and history without acoustic interference from others. Now we float toward consideration of what this means for consciousness itself. Human consciousness evolved in an acoustic environment, shaped by the ability to process sound and use vocal communication. Our very thoughts are often accompanied by an internal voice, a stream of acoustic images that help us organize and understand our experiences. But consciousness in the cosmic context must be understood as something that can exist independently of acoustic phenomena. Gently, we discover that meditation traditions throughout human history have recognized the profound peace that comes from entering states of deep quiet. The silence of space offers a cosmic scale example of the meditative state, a condition of perfect stillness in which profound processes can unfold without disturbance. In space, galaxies form and evolve, stars are born and die, and the fundamental forces of nature operate in a state of pure meditation. Let us drift into understanding how this cosmic perspective might change our relationship with quiet. In our daily lives, when we sit in silence, we are not just resting from the activity of our acoustic world. We are connecting with the fundamental state of the universe itself. In moments of quiet, we align ourselves with the cosmic condition, participating in the great meditation that encompasses all of reality. Like whispers in the night, the lessons of cosmic silence reach into our understanding of what it means to be at peace. True peace, the silence of space suggests, is not the absence of conflict or activity, but rather the presence of a deeper stillness that can contain and support all phenomena. Just as the silence of space provides the medium in which stars can shine and galaxies can dance, inner silence provides the space in which thoughts and emotions can arise and pass away without creating disturbance. In the quiet space of our contemplation, we realize that the acoustic world of Earth, for all its beauty and richness, exists within this greater context of cosmic peace. This doesn't diminish the value of sound and music and human voices, rather, it makes them even more precious by revealing them as rare and beautiful expressions of organization and meaning within the vast stillness. As our journey continues through these philosophical waters, we encounter the question of what cosmic silence means for the concept of communication itself. On Earth, we often equate communication with making noise, speaking, calling, playing music. But the universe communicates constantly through silent means, like carrying information across vast distances, gravitational forces organizing matter into elegant structures, quantum fields creating the coherent patterns we observe as physical reality. This suggests that the deepest forms of communication might be silent ones. The connection between Earth and Sun, mediated by gravitational and electromagnetic forces, represents a form of communication more fundamental and persistent than any acoustic signal. The relationship between quantum particles, potentially maintaining coherent states across vast distances, suggests forms of connection that transcend the limitations of acoustic communication. Now we float toward understanding how cosmic silence might inform our approach to knowledge and understanding. In the acoustic world, we often seek to understand things by asking questions and listening for answers. But in the cosmic context, understanding comes through observation, through patient attention to subtle signals, through awareness of patterns that unfold over vast scales of time and space. Gently, we discover that this shift from acoustic to observational understanding might represent a more mature form of knowledge. Instead of demanding that the universe speak to us in our acoustic language, we learn to listen with other senses, to perceive with instruments that can detect electromagnetic radiation, gravitational waves, and other subtle signals that carry information across cosmic distances. In the quiet space of this expanded awareness, we begin to appreciate that silence is not the absence of information, but rather the presence of a different kind of information that travels through light, through gravitational fields, through the quantum substrate of reality itself. The universe is constantly communicating with us, but it speaks in languages that transcend sound. Let's drift into consideration of what cosmic silence teaches us about the nature of time itself. Acoustic events are inherently temporary. Sounds arise, persist for brief moments, and then fade away. But in the cosmic silence, events can unfold over millions or billions of years, creating patterns and structures that persist for longer than any acoustic phenomenon could. Like whispers in the night, this temporal perspective invites us to consider our own lives and activities in the context of cosmic time. The sounds we make, the words we speak, the music we create, all of these are brief expressions within the vast symphony of cosmic evolution. Yet this doesn't make them less meaningful, rather, it reveals them as concentrated expressions of the universe's creative potential. Moments when the cosmic silence organizes itself into temporary patterns of beauty and meaning. As our journey continues through these depths of understanding, we encounter the profound spiritual implications of cosmic silence. Many contemplative traditions speak of encountering the divine in silence, in the space between thoughts, in moments when all acoustic activity ceases. The cosmic perspective suggests that this silence is not merely a human spiritual experience, but rather the fundamental condition of existence itself. In this context, prayer, meditation, and contemplation become forms of alignment with the basic nature of the universe. When we enter deep silence, we're not escaping from reality, but rather entering more fully into the cosmic condition. We're participating in the same vast quiet in which galaxies form, stars evolve, and the deepest processes of existence unfold. Now we float toward the recognition that cosmic silence offers us a profound gift, the opportunity to understand peace not as something we must create or achieve, but as something we can recognize and align with. The universe itself demonstrates that it's possible for vast, complex systems to exist in states of profound tranquility. Galaxies containing billions of stars organize themselves into elegant spiral patterns, without creating any acoustic disturbance. Black holes, among the most extreme objects in the universe, exist in perfect silence even as they bend space-time itself. Gently, we discover that this cosmic demonstration of silent organization offers hope and guidance for human civilization. It suggests that complexity, beauty, and even dynamic activity can exist within a context of fundamental peace. The challenge for humanity is not to achieve silence by stopping all activity, but rather to learn how to organize our activities within the context of deeper stillness. Just as the universe organizes its vast processes within the context of cosmic quiet, the silence of space in this understanding becomes not just a physical fact, but a teacher, a guide, and an invitation to participate more fully in the peaceful nature of existence itself. As our journey continues toward completion, let us drift into a contemplation of what it means to return from the cosmic silence to our earthbound acoustic world with new understanding and appreciation. In the quiet space of our transition back to everyday awareness, we carry with us the profound lessons learned in the vast stillness of space. Gently, we discover that returning to Earth's soundscape after our meditation on cosmic silence is like awakening from a deep, peaceful dream into a world suddenly rich with acoustic texture. Every sound, the rustling of leaves, the distant hum of traffic, the voices of people nearby, becomes more vivid and precious when understood against the backdrop of universal quiet. Like whispers in the night, the sounds of our world now carry new meaning. We understand that every bird's song is a miracle of acoustic possibility, existing only because our planet maintains the precise atmospheric conditions necessary for sound propagation. The laughter of children playing, the conversations of friends, the music that moves our hearts, all of these exist within the gossamer-thin shell of gas that surrounds our world, beyond which lies infinite silence. In the quiet space of our transformed awareness, we begin to hear our acoustic environment with cosmic ears. The wind through trees becomes not just a pleasant sound, but a demonstration of how matter in motion can create waves that carry information and beauty across distances. The sound of rain on roofs becomes a reminder of the incredible complexity of atmospheric processes that make both weather and acoustic transmission possible. As our journey continues through this new appreciation, we recognize that human voices carry particular significance in the cosmic context. Every word spoken represents a uniquely earthbound phenomenon, the result of evolution within an acoustic environment over millions of years. Our capacity for language, for vocal music, for all forms of acoustic expression, evolved only because we live within one of the universe's rare pockets where sound can exist. Now we float toward understanding how this cosmic perspective might change our relationship with noise and quiet in daily life. Knowing that we live within a small island of acoustic possibility surrounded by infinite silence, we might become more mindful of the sounds we create and encounter. Harsh, jarring noises become not just unpleasant but somehow inappropriate violations of the precious acoustic space we inhabit within the cosmic quiet. Gently, we discover that this doesn't mean we should fear sound or seek to eliminate it from our lives. Rather, it means we can approach sound with greater awareness and intention. Music becomes more meaningful when we understand it as a temporary organization of acoustic energy. Within the vast stillness, conversation becomes more precious when we recognize it as a form of communication possible only within our atmospheric sanctuary. Let us drift into consideration of how our cosmic journey into silence might inform our approach to meditation and contemplation. Having touched the infinite quiet that surrounds our world, we can now find the cosmic silence within moments of earthly quiet. When we sit in meditation, we are not just creating temporary peace, but connecting with the fundamental stillness that characterizes most of the universe. Like whispers in the night, this connection to cosmic silence can transform even brief moments of quiet into profound experiences. A few minutes of silence in a garden becomes an opportunity to align with the great cosmic meditation. The quiet moments before sleep become gateways to the vast peace that encompasses all of existence. In the quiet space of our daily lives, we can now carry a sense of the cosmic perspective that reminds us of our place within the larger scheme of things. When faced with the noise and chaos that sometimes characterize human civilization, we can remember that all of this activity exists within a context of greater stillness. Our problems, our conflicts, our anxieties, all of these unfold within the peaceful embrace of cosmic silence. As our journey continues through this integration of cosmic awareness with earthly life, we might find ourselves drawn to protect and cherish the acoustic treasures of our world. Natural soundscapes, the chorus of birds at dawn, the sound of waves on shores, the wind through forests, become not just pleasant experiences, but irreplaceable expressions of our planet's rare acoustic possibilities. Human acoustic achievements, music, poetry, vocal traditions from around the world take on new significance when understood as unique expressions possible only within Earth's atmospheric envelope. Every symphony, every folk song, every lullaby represents a form of beauty that exists nowhere else in the known universe, created by conscious beings who evolved within one of the cosmos's rare acoustic environments. Now we float toward recognizing how our understanding of cosmic silence might influence our relationships with others. Knowing that all human communication exists within this precious acoustic space, We might approach conversation with greater care and attention. Words become more meaningful when we understand them as temporary patterns of acoustic energy. In a universe otherwise characterized by electromagnetic and gravitational communication, gently, we discover that silence between people can now carry new depth and meaning. Comfortable silence with friends or loved ones becomes a shared participation in the cosmic quiet. These moments of wordless connection align us with the fundamental peaceful nature of existence, creating spaces where deeper forms of communication through presence, through shared awareness, through love itself, can flourish. In the quiet space of human relationships, we might find that having touched cosmic silence makes us better listeners. We can listen not just to the words people speak, but to the deeper currents of meaning and emotion that flow beneath acoustic expression. We can hear not just what is said, but what is left unsaid, appreciating the profound communication that can occur in silence. Let's drift into contemplation of how cosmic silence might inform our approach to creativity and expression. Artists, writers, musicians, and creators of all kinds might find inspiration in the vast quiet that surrounds our acoustic world. Creative work becomes not just personal expression, but participation in the universe's rare capacity for organized beauty. Within the context of greater stillness, like whispers in the night, creative works take on cosmic significance when understood as temporary patterns of order and meaning arising from and returning to the fundamental peace of existence. A poem becomes a momentary organization of acoustic energy that carries meaning across the silence between minds. A painting becomes a pattern of light that communicates across space, without need for acoustic transmission. A piece of music becomes a celebration of our planet's unique acoustic possibilities. As our journey continues toward its conclusion, we realize that our exploration of cosmic silence has been more than an intellectual exercise. It has been a form of meditation, a way of aligning ourselves with the peaceful nature of existence itself. We have touched the vast quiet that surrounds and encompasses our world, and in doing so, we have connected with something eternal and tranquil within ourselves. Now we float toward appreciation of the gift that cosmic silence offers to human consciousness. In a world often filled with noise, distraction, and chaos, the knowledge that we exist within a vast ocean of peace provides comfort and perspective. No matter how turbulent our immediate circumstances might become, we can remember that we are surrounded by, supported by, and ultimately part of the infinite stillness that characterizes most of reality. Gently, we discover that this cosmic perspective doesn't diminish our human concerns and activities, but rather provides a framework within which they can be understood and approached with greater wisdom and peace. Our work, our relationships, our creative endeavors, our spiritual seeking, all of these can be informed by the understanding that they unfold within the embrace of cosmic silence. In the quiet space of our transformed awareness, we carry forward the gift of cosmic perspective, the ability to see our acoustic world as a precious rarity, our human voices as miracles of evolutionary possibility, and our moments of silence as connections to the fundamental peace that underlies all existence. We return from our journey into cosmic silence not as escapists fleeing from the world of sound, but as beings who can now participate more fully and meaningfully in the rare acoustic treasure that is our earthbound existence. The silence of space, we now understand, is not separate from our world, but rather the vast, peaceful context within which our world exists. In recognizing this, we find that every sound becomes more beautiful, every quiet moment more profound, and every day more filled with wonder at the extraordinary acoustic sanctuary we call home. Our journey through cosmic silence teaches us that peace is not something we must achieve, but something we can recognize and align with, the fundamental condition of the universe itself, temporarily and beautifully disturbed by the sounds of life, consciousness, and love that characterize our precious planet. In this understanding, we find not just intellectual knowledge, but a deep, abiding sense of connection to the peaceful heart of existence itself. Good night from the sleepy scientist.